Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leo 13, as we are about to get underway here for race 6 out of 10 for FEC's Summer Indycar series. Things could be taking an interesting turn today in the championship fights. But real quickly, let's go ahead and look at the championship standings as they are right now. In 25th position is Design with 14 points. In 24th is Benders with 19. In 23rd is Tony with 22. In 21st is Thunder with 28. There's a tie for 19th between Naito Gamer and Flackbus. They both have 30 points each. Then in 19th, there's Dramore with 31 points. In 18th, there's Slasher with 34. In 17th, you have Roken with 36. In 16th, you have Larry B with 40. In 15th, you have Panther with 44. In 14th, you have King Racing Leo with 46. In 13th, you have Packerman with 60 points. In 12th, you have Meteor with 73 points. In 11th, you have Kuroshine with 75. Then you start getting to the top 10. NFL Racer has 83 points. Claiming Racer has 86 points. 8th is Scored Buffalo with 102 points. 7th is CGK Thomas with 111. 6th is Panda with 114. 5th is 6th is Panda with 114. 5th is Nismo with 115. 5th is Jack. I wish they would just number these. 5th is Jack with 122. 4th is Prius Killer with 124 points. 3rd is Amish Gaming with 139 points. 2nd is Dino Prime 77. And leading the championship is maybe with 194 points. And therein lies the big, interesting change. We currently do not have Maybe Racing running with us. It looks significantly possible that we will not have our points leader running. He had a 49-point lead over second place Dino after last week's event. 50 points is the maximum amount of points you can earn in a race from finishing. You can earn a point from fastest in-race lap and a point from pole as well. But basically, he was 3 points shy of being a full race worth of points ahead of his closest championship rival. But with maybe not showing up today, by the looks of it, and Dino already qualifying on the pole for today's event, Dino may be in his best shot to get a win and massively shrink that points gap down. Now, of course, that doesn't get into the fact that generally on a week-by-week basis, Dino has been nowhere near Maybe Racing in terms of performance. But if this turns up being a championship where it ends up being consistency and attendance has more of an impact over outright speed, Dino really needs to turn on a hot performance today. Anything worse than second is unacceptable, and frankly, even the second would only barely be acceptable off the back of Maybe Racing potentially missing more events. Scored Buffalo 31 and Claiming Racer 56 both have already won races this season. Last week, Scored Buffalo won at Road America. He also won the season opener at the Sunset Roval. But Scored Buffalo and Claiming Racer both missed qualifying, so both of them will be starting near the back of the field in today's race. And this is at Mid-Ohio, a circuit that, well, people will try and lie to and say otherwise. This is a circuit that you cannot overtake at. One interesting thing to consider as well is tire fall off. Apparently, the tires start falling off much faster here than many of the other circuits in the schedule, mainly because throughout the entirety of Sector 2 and Sector 3, you're putting a lot of sideways force on the tires. It's not just accelerating, decelerating in a straight line like a lot of the corners at Road America are. Road America has a lot of really long straightaways, but you're not really putting a lot of sideways force into the tires. Here at Mid-Ohio, you are doing a lot of sideways force and putting a lot of that into the tires, and that will end up having a very significant impact on how this event plays out, because if the tire wears start falling off quickly, there may be two different tire strategies to go off of. Tire strategy number one would be to just go ahead and split the race into two even halves, about 23 laps each, make a stop, just go from one set of tires to another set, and then keep going. Tire strategy number two, though, is to make two stops. Make your first stop around lap 15 or 16, make your second stop around lap 30 or 31. That second strategy means that you would always be underfueled, and you would always have much better tires. You wouldn't really be feeling with any fall off, but you have to basically outrun the time lost on an entire extra pit stop. And if you get caught behind someone that you struggle to pass, that's really going to hurt you. So a big strategy game that may potentially be playing out in today's event. When it comes down to it, outside of the... Here we are. Real quickly, look at the drivers running today. Like you said, Dino Prime 77 is currently sitting on the pole position in his number 77 711 machine, followed by Rokin GTR, that Mazda-sponsored pink and blue machine. Prius Killer 8110 is back in that blue and white late 2010s Williams-styled paint job. Thomas 086R actually had a brief moment in qualifying where he looked like he could get the pole, but as the lap times continued to fail, he just couldn't keep up. Jack Broseph is having a fantastic start for today's event. It looks like he'll be starting, I believe, in 5th. Pindaz, the series host, is now running a Chili's car and will likely be running the Chili's livery for most of the rest of the season here. Naito Gamer 05 is back in the USAF gray and red machine. Amish Gaming, who is 4th in points coming into today, 3rd in points coming in today, might fall back to 4th, but still, Amish has been having a silently consistent season just off the back of attending. Knees Morphed is coming back as well in that pink, white, and gray car. Then, like we said, Claiming Racer looks like he will be the only Ford representative in today's event. He missed qualifying, so he'll have to start the back of the field. Same thing with Scored Buffalo in that Mopar red and black machine. He is also missed qualifying and will have to start at the rear of the grid today as well. As we are currently in a bit of a holding pattern, there is potentially one more driver that the series officials are waiting on at the moment before they get underway here. All right, we're just standing by in a holding pattern right now, so we will be back shortly here as I'm going to go ahead and check it and see what exactly we are still waiting on at this stage of the event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Mid-Ohio. Kuroshine is another driver that missed qualifying. They keep trying to load into the lobby, but because they are on a PC and not an actual Xbox console like the game was designed for, they keep having complete failures to actually be able to load into the event. We also might get NFL Racer jumping in. Word is still out on that. So we're looking at likely a 12-car field, might be 13 or 14, depending on how things turn out here. Big fan about Mid-Ohio. Like you said, overtakes are just about impossible over here. There are really only 1.5 good overtaking zones. Now, if you have a significant pace differential, that won't really matter. But you can make an overtake in turn 2, which is going into the hairpin, but you have to be very well set up for it. You have to be able to carry much more speed than the driver ahead of you through turn 1 to be able to set up for a move in turn 2. And then out of turn 2, you go down the back straightaway. There's a little kink, which is sometimes called turn 3. But then you have that 90-degree corner. Now, Forza still uses a older paved version of Mid-Ohio, one that goes back to about 2022-ish. So back when the track had much older pavement and there was actually that big drop-off and the track was a little bit banked in that corner. So way back then, you could actually run side-by-side, if only briefly, through that corner and maintain quite a bit of speed. As it is now, you can't really go side-by-side through there nearly as well, but there is the ability to run side-by-side in that corner. So do keep that in mind, because the other thing to consider is that they will be using the alternate start-finish line that is on the backstretch in today's event. So keep that in mind as well. The entire field by default is going to be going 2x2 into turn number 4. And then you go 4, 5, and 6. It's a series of near 90-degree corners. You have a hard right and then a hard left. And then you go downhill a little bit into another hard right. Normally you will see in real life IndyCar racing, the two drivers will stay locked side to side, wheel to wheel, all the way through 4, 5, and 6 around here until one of them finally has to back out. And if they have room to move out of the way, they will fall down into single file order. You don't want to spend too much time offline, especially as you go through 5, 6, 7, 8, through corners 8, 9, and 10, because those are a lot of very aggressive and technically challenging corners, and if you're not prepared, you can very easily slide off and completely kill your race in that scenario. We are still waiting on if Kuroshine... No, it looks like everyone is here now. It looks like everybody is now readied up, so they should be underway momentarily here. Don't know what the holdup is right now. There we are. Oh, so for some reason they have a inverted field here. Don't know what's going on there. Well, they'll have to manually reorder the grid then. This is the hairpin. This is the turn 4, 5, 6 complex, and this is... I don't recognize this section. Okay, well, anyways, your pole sitter is this man here, down at Prime 77. I believe this is his first pole of the season, followed by Rokin GTR, then Prius Killer 8110. Starting in fourth behind them will be Thomas 086R, one of his best qualifying runs thus far in the season. After that, Jack Broseph, who will be looking to have a solid run all the way through today. Then Series host Pindaz in the 17, Naito Gamer 05 in the 66, then Amish Gaming 23, then followed by Neesmorph, and we have disconnects. Okay, so we're going to have to retry the lobby all over again. Go figure. All right, so we're under a holding pattern once more now as we wait to get underway for attempt 2 now. Are they going to reset? They're going to reset the entire lobby and make a brand new lobby. That's going to force me to have to reset my entire game. Go figure. Sometimes I wonder how in the world the first race of the season went off so quickly without a hitch, and the entire broadcast only was like 55 minutes, and every other event in this series has been like an hour and a half to 2 hour affair. Alright, we're still waiting on more people to show up. Go figure. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mid-Ohio, as we are currently in a holding pattern as they're trying to set up the grid all over again after disconnects have derailed the first attempt at starting this race. Drivers to keep an eye on, assuming that we actually get them back in, will be Scored Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be doing, again, not quite a last to first challenge, but something very similar to a last to first challenge. Now, in last week's event, he made all the way up to second on merit, but then Maybe Racing had a self-inflicted spin going through the kink at Road America, and in the process, Maybe dropped about 20 seconds of time, and that is what gave Scored Buffalo the lead and the win. If that didn't happen, Buffalo would have stalled out in second. However, Maybe is not here, and everyone else who is on track today are drivers that Scored Buffalo has shown to be multiple seconds a lap faster than over the course of today's race. But that comes with the caveat that you cannot pass at Mid-Ohio under normal circumstances. So it will be interesting to see if Scored Buffalo can even make his way up the field with any significant speed today. And we may be short one driver now. Yeah, we were at 14, but now we're down to 13. So I am guessing we are going to be running with one less person. But regardless, The top 10 drivers have put in qualifying times. 11th, 12th, and 13th have not. NFL Racer is going to be feeling more than a little bit frustrated with this, knowing that he has better pace, but due to other duties is not able to properly try and qualify for today's event here. There we are. All right, take number 2. Again, we don't know how many drivers are going to do just the one-stop strategy and struggle on old tires. We don't know how many drivers are going to try the two-stop strategy. And while they'll be behind overall, they'll try to set off nothing but quick, fast laps all the way through the day. Loading onto the circuit any moment now. All right. Tip number 2. And this time, it looks like they are not going to be worrying about having to manually reorder the grid, at least. So as we said, Dino Prime is going to be your pole setter, followed by Rokin, Prius Killer, Thomas 086, Jack Brosuf, then Pindaz. After that will be Naito Gamer, then Amish Gaming. Change the camera, please, so we can see Amish's car better. Thank you. After that will be Neesmorph. Following them will be the drivers who did not qualify. That is Claiming Racer, who won back at Miami. They are the only Ford entry in today's field. After that is going to be Scored Buffalo, then NFL Racer, and then, although for some reason Kuroshine is in Ghost mode and his Ghost is moving his way up to the field, Kuroshine should actually be starting at the back of the grid. Not sure what's going on with Kuroshine right now. All right, there we are. Now he starts properly dropping back in the order. Real quick, let's go ahead and look at the fuel and tire data for our starters. Dino starting with a bit more than 80% in the tank. Rokin is going to be starting with about 80% exactly in the tank. Prius Killer, who is going to be starting third, is starting with 85%. Thomas, who is started in 4th position, is going to be starting with 90% nearly. And now real quickly, let's look at the 2 drivers at the back of the field that we anticipate will be trying to fight their way through the grid. Scored Buffalo starting with a full tank. And then Claiming Racer, who is just ahead, is going to be starting with a full tank as well. So those 2 drivers will be very heavy, but that gives them a lot more freedom when it comes to what they want to do when it comes through their fuel and tire strategies. Now, here at Mid-Ohio, because the start-finish line is put so early on the start-finish line straight, IndyCar does not actually start races there. They will usually start races on the back straightaway, just a little bit past that little bend that you'll see on the map. So they're not running 45 full racing laps. It's going to be more something like 44 3/4 of a racing lap. But it's going to be Dino Prime and Rokin GTR who will be sharing row 1. Row 2 will be Prius Killer and Thomas 086. And we're going to try and keep our eye on Rokin. We believe that Dino will be trying to start on the inside and Rokin will be on the outside. So Rokin hasn't made a whole lot of prior starts. I think this is only his 2nd start in the series, but he has done very good in qualifying. Would love to try and find a way to convert that into a win. Over the first 5 races of the season, we have had 4 different winners. It is possible, but not guaranteed, that that trend could continue here today. All right, they lapped the tires, and they're coming down now to the start-finish line, the alternate start-finish line. Rokin outside, Dino inside. Rokin is not pulled up perfectly even with the 77 yet, and the green flag is off, and Rokin is just caught completely off guard, and it is Prius Killer who's going by on the inside, and already somebody has gone off. Way farther back there, that is Thomas, who qualifies hard as 4th, and he's already gone off, and Rokin has already slid back to the 4th position now, behind Jack Broseph. He's going to try and lunge in to deny the chance for Broseph to completely overtake, but no. And look at this, already Amish Gaming has moved their way up into the 8th position, and Claiming Racer is going by into 7th. So already Claiming Racer trying to move up. He's now already already putting pressure on Naito Gaming. Naito is not ready to not in a position to really fight back. He'll try to hold side by side, but already Claiming has gone from about 10th to 6th, and we've not even completed a full lap, although he misses the corner just a little bit, leaves the room open. That scored Buffalo just a little bit behind. Buffalo has a bit of a twitch as he is held up behind Naito Gamer, but now we look at Claiming Racer and we look at Scored Buffalo, and we are curious about what they can do. And we look at our top two. This is Dino Prime and Prius Killer. Prius, who won the Indy 250, the biggest race of the season. He is currently running second after capitalizing on Rokin's awful initial start. Dino's biggest threat might not be from Scored Buffalo or Claiming, it might be from something else. Speaking of which, Scored Buffalo may have gone off somewhere. He has now fallen back to 10th all of a sudden. So it is Claiming Racer who is the driver from the back, trying to move forward in the grid early on here. Shine has fallen all the way 17 seconds off the rest of the field. Thomas also has fallen off, but we already saw him go off. We look at our lead group, though. Dino, Prius, Jack Grossup running as high as third. A fantastic run for him right now. Oh, and that's Jack Grossup, who's off. Yes, as I was saying, he was doing a good job. He runs wide there in that blind corner on exit, and that lets Rokin slip back by. As Pindaz, who is just behind. Pindaz has not yet finished top 5 in any event in this season. Then you have Claiming Racer running right behind. Oh, big twitch there by Jack Grossup right in front of Pindaz, and Claiming is tucked up behind Pindaz, but has to figure out a way to get by. Right on board with Claiming Racer's no go, and try to make an outside move happen on Pindaz. Can't complete the overtake before the braking zone. That looks like it's exactly what he can do. So Claiming Racer now up in the 5th. Scored Buffalo's only recovered back up to 9th after sliding off earlier. And the top two of Dino and Prius continue to stay lockstep at the head of the field, but it is Claiming Racer who is trying to do his variation of from the back to the front here at Mid-Ohio. Has gone from the 10th position up to 5th and is putting heavy pressure on Jack Grossup right now. Also remember, in the Manufacturers Championship, this is the only Ford entry. Maybe has been the one doing most of the heavy lifting for that manufacturer, but right now that is not the case. Right now it is Claiming who is the sole representative for Ford at the moment. All right, but as this is going on, our top two are gradually pulling away, and Dino is starting to open a bit of a gap here on Prius Killer. Rokin is hanging out in third, but does not seem to have the pace right now to just run down the drivers ahead. So Rokin, Jack Grossup, and Claiming Racer, as Rokin has hit the curb, has a big twitch, a big slide, and that will knock them back to 5th. So Jack Grossup goes back up the order, and Rokin continues to hammer his ground. He's now fallen to 7th in the process, back behind Scored Buffalo now. No, he's still ahead of Scored Buffalo, but behind Naito Gamer. Okay, so that makes it a little bit easier for Claiming Racer now, because Jack Grossup isn't being held up by Rokin, and now here comes Claiming to the inside. There's nothing that Jack can do, and Claiming's gonna go right by, and Claiming, in the span of only 4 racing laps, has basically gone from 10th to 3rd. So Claiming Racer absolutely on top of it right now, trying to be the second 2-time winner in this series. Only has a 2.5 second gap between themselves and the lead duo, which is Dino Prime and Prius Killer. And Prius is not letting Dino get away. He is staying right on the rear wing of that number 77, putting it under immense pressure as they run around here. Now, reminder, both these cars are under the Buick nameplate, so when it comes to the Manufacturers Championship, Buick is 3rd in points coming into today's event. And this would be a good way for them to maybe close in on the 2nd place manufacturer, that is Dodge. Here comes Prius, and Prius has gone right by Dino. Dino just seemed to move over as if he was not interested in fighting with Prius anymore. And already Claiming is closed in to within 2 seconds. Well, he was within 2 seconds for a moment. And look at that, Prius already opening up the gap on Dino. He ran board Claiming, but you can see on the ticker, already the gap is up to 1/3 of a second between the top two, and Claiming is closing in on this duo with speed. No qualifying, no practice, but Claiming just seems to be much better than most of the other drivers. This championship in general seems to be a matter of the drivers who run this series full time do not have a lot of skill and speed. The drivers who are running with a lot of skill and speed, just making a lot of full-time starts, which makes these races kind of feel really wild in how they play out. But Prius already nearly a full second up on Dino, and Claiming is already closed that second down. So Prius and Claiming seem to be at about the same race pace, but Dino does not have anything compared to what those two are doing on track. And Jack Brosa, full credit to Jack, he is staying right behind Claiming Racer for now. So if Claiming has a bit of a mistake, Jack will slide right back by. So our two fastest drivers on track right now, Prius and Claiming, are drivers who have already won, but both of them only won on oval races. Claiming won way back at Miami. Bit of a controversial moment between himself and Dino, where with about 2 laps left, they got into each other, and it shot into Dino into the outside wall, and then left Claiming open to attack from his teammate Maybe. They were basically side by side at the line. Alright, so now we're seeing Claiming really pulling away from Jack bit by bit now. There's just 2 more drivers that Claiming has to figure out a way to get by. For Scored Buffalo, he has moved back into the 7th position, has finally gotten back by Naito Gamer. Next focus for him will be Roken. Now, we know Roken's past. Roken qualified in the top 2, but Roken has not had the consistency or the cleanliness needed to run up near the front. So for Scored Buffalo, it may not be a matter of going out there, elbows out, and forcing his way by Roken. It may be more a case of go out there and just wait for Roken to make a mistake and try and capitalize on that. Roken right now is tucked up behind Pindaz, looks to the inside. Pindaz denies the move, and they're all right on top of each other. Also, NFL Racer going by on the inside of Naito, and you have to wonder, is something wrong with Naito? Naito is starting to hammer positions. Nothing's wrong, and now we start seeing him come back. All right, farther up, battle for second place is on. Prius has opened up nearly a 1.5-second lead on your pole sitter, and Claiming is the one being held up by Dino right now. Claiming's almost a full second ahead of Jack Broseph now. Reminder, Claiming Racer has a lot more fuel in his car and is still running down Dino, so this is an interesting scenario where a driver who's actually in a heavier fuel load seems to be a little faster, although Claiming runs a little wide coming out of turn 1 there. Still, he's got the draft off of Dino, so won't lose too much time. Pindaz now slips all the way back to 9th after a bit of an issue there as NFL Racer tries and continues to struggle to get by Naito. Pindaz puts his nose where there's no sunlight. All 3 of these drivers seem to be equally making about the same number of mistakes amongst each other. The gap that Prius has opened on Dino seems to have steadied itself at about 1.5 seconds, but only for now, and as Dino continues to struggle with pressure from Claiming Racer, I imagine we'll see a gap. Oh, and we saw Prius just drop tires in the dirt there. But he did not lose any time from that, apparently. Oh, here comes Claiming. Claiming has a gigantic run, but has to back out a bit just before getting into turn 1. Dino is wide, couldn't hold an ideal line. Claiming's got another run building up. Is it going to be enough to run Dino alongside? He looks to the inside. He's got to make the dive. This is the dive. This is probably the move for second. Dino pinches him down and can't do anything about it. Dino gets a good run out of the corner, side by side, drag race down the straightaway. And Dino goes back by Claiming. The advantage of having the outside line coming out of the hairpin is that there's more track to really find grip for the tires. And that's probably what got Dino back ahead. But Claiming is not just idly hanging here in 3rd position. And Dino is hoping and fighting for this because he needs a win. A second might help, but he needs a win in order to keep himself in serious championship contention. Prius is starting to lose some of the gap that he had on Dino and starting to fall back into this fight for second. And the numbers I heard is that tires start falling off about 15 to 17 laps in a run, which is why the two-stop strategy is considered a viable option here. Also, cut to Jack Grossup, he is still within 3 seconds of the lead. Or as I say that, he just fell out of 3 seconds. Also scored Buffalo has now made his way up into 5th on track. Alright, no big move by Claiming Racer going into the hairpin this time. Dino's wide, exiting the hairpin. Claiming Racer holds on to his draft once more, trying to set up for maybe a dive going into the braking zone here in turn 4. Is this the move? He looks, but is not willing to commit. Claiming runs his nose into the rear diffuser of Dino's car. This is probably the most active battle on track right now, although there are a lot of stalking battles going on farther back. Big thing to consider, though, is that Scored Buffalo is 5 seconds out of the lead. He's about 3 seconds out of this fight. As this continues, we could very well see Scored Buffalo start fighting it out here for second position. And all the while, Prius Killer is kind of stuck in this 1 second to 1.2 second gap ahead. He has not been pulling away from this duo. So the drivers starting at the head of the field are not that fast, but the faster drivers are having trouble actually trying to make overtakes happen. All right, Claiming has a fantastic run going down the start-finish straight this time, but he'll have to back out again. No, he may have it. This might be it. He's got to the outside. This may be the move. This might be it. Claiming's got the car dead even with Dino as they go diving into the hairpin. Claiming tries to pinch down, deny Dino. That's the move! That will definitely be second. There's nothing that Dino can do to fight back, and Claiming launches out of the hairpin like a bottle rocket. And already 3/10 ahead of Dino by the end of the back straightaway. Just not a single thing that could be done there, and now Claiming Racer immediately starts putting the pressure on Prius Killer. It took quite a few laps, but Claiming was just a smarter driver and, more importantly, a faster driver. Dino was just struggling to keep the car on track the entire time. Claiming's not been having any such issues, and now Claiming seems to be much faster than Prius. Immediately, it's not even taking an entire lap, and is immediately right on Prius's rear wing. So this is going to be an incredibly easy overtake here for Claiming Racer, I imagine. Big slide by Dino. Farther back there is Jack Broseph, very nearly wrecked right in front of Scored Buffalo. Buffalo will use this to go by Jack Broseph in turn number 1. Jack tucked up behind Buffalo, but Buffalo is just way better of a driver than literally everyone else in this field outside of maybe who is not racing and possibly Claiming Racer. So once he's by, unless he makes a mistake, that is over. Prius has opened the gap just a little bit on Claiming, but not enough to break the draft. Pindaz is making a pit stop on lap 13, so this is likely going to see him go a lap down. Kuroshine has also already gone a lap down at this stage of the event as well. Alright, so now Claiming Racer tucked up behind Prius, and you have to wonder if you're in Dino's position. Do you want to go ahead and maybe try running a bunch of laps in clean air? Do you commit to a two-stop strategy? What about Claiming? If you get by Prius, do you go ahead and run a two-stop strategy, or do you stay on the one-stop? For Prius, who was really fast in the first few laps, but then after getting by into the lead, seemed to lose most of his speed. You have to win. And now Prius has really backed Claiming up, and Dino's back into the fray as well. Big slide by Dino as he hit that curb. And now we see Scored Buffalo hit the curb as well, farther back. Dino just does not have the stability in his car, and that basically is going to be lights over for the championship because he's just not going to close enough in the points to fight to really do anything to maybe Racing, who has been the fastest driver throughout the season. Claiming has a big toe on Prius. Prius holding the outside line. Here comes Claiming, goes to the inside. Prius shuts the door. Scored Buffalo's forward momentum is continuing. He is now within 2.5 seconds of this lead trio here. There are now some camera angles where you can see that red and black Dodge closing in farther back. Dino runs into the dirt again. Continues to bleed off time by making mistakes like that. Flaming looks inside, look outside, but through all of turn 3, is that the move? He goes for the big dive bomb in the last few corners. Prius is not done. Prius fights back. Flaming's wide. Flaming's into the dirt. Now he comes back. Here comes Dino. Dino has a run on all of them. Dino to the inside of Flaming. Flaming has a better run and goes right by. And now Squirt Buffalo's right in the middle of the fray. Squirt Buffalo is going to go right by Dino as if Dino's standing still. Qualifying doesn't matter because as long as Squirt Buffalo starts a race, he wins these races by default. The Squirt Buffalo is faster and has better driver discipline than Flaming and will likely be able to dispose of Flaming even without worrying about Prius Killer. And the championship fight is basically over with this as well. So now the fight's just going to be how long will it take for Flaming to get around and dispose of Prius. Jack Broseph is back to being within 3 seconds of the lead. Everyone we've only had 2 leaders thus far. They have been Prius and Dino. And both times we've had them in the lead, all they have been doing is backing the field up. They do not have ridiculous speed here. Flaming not going for the big side-by-side move this time, and that's probably for the best. Jack Broseph paying on lap 15, so it looks like Jack Broseph is committing to the 2-stop strategy here. He knows that he doesn't have the pace to keep up with these drivers ahead, but he may be saying, hey, look, maybe if I run a bunch of laps in clean air, not really fighting, and these guys keep fighting, maybe he'll get some positions off the back of that. Flaming wide in the hairpin. Squirt Buffalo right there. Dino is already losing touch with this top 3. Well, that's... Okay, so what is Flaming going to do? We've seen Flaming make that big move in the second to last corner. Got side-by-side with Prius, but Prius had the inside line advantage coming onto the front straightaway, and Flaming actually dropped tires in the dirt, which pushed both of them back into Squirt Buffalo in the process. So Flaming knows he can't make that mistake again, because if he does, Buffalo's going to go right by both of them, and Buffalo is way better than Flaming is right now. They're coming up on traffic. That is Pindaz, I believe, who is right. No, that's Kuroshine, who's about to go a second lap down just ahead of this trio. So Kuroshine in the form of lap traffic could have a bit of an impact on this. Nope. Kuroshine pulls to the extreme inside, will not do anything to fight with them. All right, now into the hairpin. Flaming taking a tighter exit, which is really compromising his ability to exit the corner, but he is also trying to cover up Squirt Buffalo and make sure that Buffalo can't sneak by. Because if Buffalo gets by, Flaming, this is over for him. So Flaming is in a very unenviable position. He needs to get ahead of the driver ahead. He needs to keep the guy behind him. Dino has fallen 3 seconds off of this, so Prius has actually picked up his pace, and Dino's just completely fallen over. Bad run through those corners by Flaming Racer. Not quite, nose to tail. Flaming now taking a wider line, trying to do something, trying to get maybe a cut back, hoping to just put some sort of pressure on Prius. But Prius puts the power down out of the final quarter, maintains station. And he's close enough to Flaming that Flaming can't really build up a great run out of turn 1. Not that time. He's going to try it, though. He's got just enough of a run. He's going to try and go around the outside of Prius. Neck and neck, side by side, into the hairpin. Prius is wide. He makes contact with Flaming. Flaming goes wide. Squirt has nowhere to go. Again, all of these drivers will have to make a stop at some point. The fuel tank's not big enough to make this a 0-stop race, but are you going to commit to a 1-stop or a 2-stop? If you're doing a 2-stop, the best time to make your pit would be right now. If you're committing to a 1-stop, you're going to have to keep struggling like this for several more laps. About 5 to 6 more. All right, so Claiming backs off of Prius's rear wing just a bit, tries to catch his breath, but every time he does that, it seems like Prius has a bit of a mistake and then falls right back into Claiming Racer. So it's not like Claiming's able to open up a big gap between himself and Prius, catch his breath, and try to re-rack and restack. Gets right behind Prius again. Big slide by Prius coming out of the final corner that time. Claiming drops tires into the dirt, but he's got a big toe on Prius. Does he try to make a dive bomb into the hairpin? Not this time, although Prius is really sideways. It looks like Prius is sliding the rear tires a lot. 42% wear on the fronts for Prius. For Claiming, he is at 36%. He has engine damage? He has a little bit of engine damage, not enough to really do anything. And for Scored Buffalo, who is running in third, he's at 41%. So Claiming Racer has the best tire wear of everyone, and he has more fuel in the tank. This might still work out in Claiming's favor. He can afford to stay out on track, runs on track longer than what Prius can do, and just use the overcut to his advantage, just turn a bunch of laps late in clean air. That might not matter! He's going to the outside of Prius! Can he complete the overtake by the corner? Not quite, but he's gonna be perfectly set up to complete the overtake in these last few corners here. Prius can't do anything to fight back. Now Scored Buffalo's by. Claiming has gotten back to the lead. Prius has a big slide in front of Buffalo. Buffalo goes to the inside. Drag race. Buffalo backs out of it. All right, but this is all that Claiming needs. He just needs Prius to hold up Scored Buffalo for a long time so he can go and open up a bunch of laps in clean air. And with Claiming running with both a tire advantage and a fuel advantage over the rest of the field, and now he has clean air, this race may go in his favor. The big question is that Scored Buffalo generally has been a smoother, calmer, more consistent driver in this series. Buffalo would be in the perfect position to capitalize if anything went wrong with Claiming, but he needs to get by Prius here to make that happen. Here it comes, and Scored backs out of it. Scored's trying to make an overtake on Prius on what would be a more conventional location to make the move, but Prius is wide. Scored is not willing to put himself side by side with Prius anywhere that is not a conventional overtaking location, and Claiming Racer is about to come up onto lap traffic here. Now, we don't know how aggressively those drivers ahead, Neesmore and Thomas, are going to fight to stay on the lead lap. Neesmore is not going to put any fight up whatsoever. He backs way out of the throttle, lets our leaders by. What of Thomas, who will qualify as high as fourth, but is now going a lap down? Prius into the dirt, and that's going to be that. All right, so now the fight is between Claiming Racer and Scored Buffalo, both trying to record their second victory of the season. Well, no, Buffalo would actually be trying to record his third victory of the season, as Pindaz backs out of the throttle and lets the leaders go now. The gap is about 1.2 seconds, and now Claiming Racer has a lot of clean air ahead. So we look real quickly at Buffalo. His tires are at 46%, almost 47%. We look at Claiming, who is leading. His tires are at 41%. So that is a significant advantage in tire life in Claiming's favor here. And for the drivers on the three-stop strategy, it's only Pindaz and Jack Brosa. Pindaz has already gone a lap down. Jack is, well, he's, real quickly, he is 34 seconds out of the lead group. So he is a little bit more than a full pit stop behind. He's turned a bunch of laps in cleaner air, but I don't know if Jack's going to be able to do anything better than fourth on this alternate strategy. The one thing that does help Jack out is that he is also looking at completely clean air. The next drivers ahead of him are Naito and NFL, who are not complete slouches on their own right. And Scored Buffalo is not closing on Claiming Racer. Claiming is continuing to open the gap on this number 31, even though Buffalo has gotten by Prius. Buffalo incredibly wide there in the second to last corner. But again, I'm looking at this gap. It's at 1.5 seconds. So now Buffalo is starting to try and turn the wick up. All right, if you want to make your one stop, this lap is probably the best time to make your stop. We're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break. And when we come back, hopefully, you'll see the leaders make their first stop of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back to Mid-Ohio. Drivers are making their first, and for many of them, only potential stops. The big wild card is going to be Jack Grosov, because Jack is on a two-stop strategy. He is the only driver who is on the two-stop strategy here, but he is stuck behind Amish Gaming right now, who we believe still has yet to make a stop, and our leaders are about to come into the pits. Yes, our leaders have come in. Claiming Racer has come into the pits, but Scored Buffalo is staying out. So Claiming Racer is cutting the race almost in half, but Scored Buffalo wants to stay out for a little bit longer, try to get a few more laps in cleaner air, try a short fill to the end. How long is it going to take for Jack to get by Amish? Can he even get by Amish? Because if he spends way too much of this race tucked behind Amish, all that time in dirty air is going to kill Jack's chance of making this two-stop strategy work, because he's going to be losing so much time. NFL Racer pitting up ahead of them right now. What of Amish? What is Amish's strategy? Amish is still not pitted. Neesmorph has gone ahead and made their stop as well. And after pit stops are over, Claiming Racer has cycled out fourth on track and has 15 seconds worth of clean air ahead of him. So as long as Scored Buffalo doesn't go absolutely hardcore sucko mode here and just destroy the field on these few laps, we think that Claiming Racer should still end up overall in the lead here. And here comes Buffalo into the pits. All right, so we look at Claiming. How long will it take for Claiming to go by? Dino finally paying out of third. And his championship hopes have basically been completely derailed. He needed to win, or at worst, finish second. But he just does not have a pace. Whenever Scored Buffalo or Claiming Racer shows up, they are basically automatic locks for a win. It's basically the two of them and maybe who will win almost every race in this championship unless something absolutely wild happens. Naito is paying out fifth. Claiming goes up into third. There's Scored Buffalo on pit exit. Claiming's already by him, and Buffalo hasn't even gotten up to pace yet. And Buffalo has to get his tires up to temperature. It's going to be a little hard to get the fronts up because he'll have this heavy braking zone in the hairpin, but then his tires will start bleeding off temperature again as you go down the back straightaway. They won't start getting into proper operating temperature until you get through 4, 5, 6 or so, and it looks like Claiming Racer has opened up the gap on Scored Buffalo by about a second and a half for the moment. Prius staying out for quite a bit longer than I think anyone was anticipating. but he is going to finally abort and come in now with about 20 laps left, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about tire fall. He'll actually have a bit of a tire advantage, but he has just not had any pace outside of the first 5 laps to suggest that he can do anything crazy. For Jack Broseph, who is on the 2-stop strategy, it's not looking good. He is still 37 seconds off the lead. Now, he'll close some of that time down here by virtue of Prius being in the pits, but Jack Broseph on this 2-stop strategy has not been able to go fast enough and has had too many laps compromised by dirty air. It's just not looking like Jack has any shot of really finishing any higher than probably 5th. And then you have Rokin, who qualified 2nd, but has had a series of misfortunes on track, has slipped back to the 6th position here. NFL Racer did not qualify, started near the back, but it's been a very brutal and frustrating fight, but he has pulled himself up into the 7th position. 8th place is Naito, who started higher, but just has really only lost positions to the 3 drivers claiming scored in NFL, who just didn't qualify. Then you have Amish, who is way down here in 9th, and Amish, who was looking to maybe put himself in the fight for the top 3 in the overall Drivers' Championship. Performance is just not there. It's just not happening. Thomas qualified as high as 4th today, but has went off in the first lap going into turn 4 and has just not recovered at all. And then Pindaz has also had his own share of misfortunes today. He is the only other driver, I believe, who is on a 2-stop strategy. But if Jack Broseph has not had the pace to make a 2-stop work, Pindaz is even worse off. Pindaz is legitimately at risk of going a lap down, and I think he is going to move over. And yes, Pindaz is going to be finishing this race a lap down compared to our top 2. Scored Buffalo is going to stay about a 1.5 seconds behind Claiming. Now, here's the thing. Claiming has track position advantage, but he has a tire disadvantage by virtue of pitting earlier. The big difference, though, is that Claiming Racer has been much better on saving and conserving his tires than what Scored Buffalo has been doing. So, Buffalo may have younger tires for now, but if he's wearing his tires faster than Claiming as this goes on, then he may not actually have any significant tire advantage to really push. It may just be a matter of he'll be in a lighter, lesser fueled car in these stints right now, allowing him to try and push down on Claiming. But again, I don't know if he's going to be able to catch him. And catching Claiming is one thing. Overtaking is something else entirely. Claiming has basically started, because Claiming got into the lobby a little earlier than Scored. Claiming has started this race ahead of Scored Buffalo and has stayed ahead of Scored Buffalo since the word go. Both of them have equally fought their way through the entire field without any issue whatsoever. Alright, to say without any issue whatsoever is a bit of an overstatement. It was very obvious that it was going to be these two fighting for the win just by virtue of them showing up. But it was not, oh, well, it was completely easy. They went last the first right away. It did take them a while to make their way through the field, but everyone knew these two would be fighting with each other. The question is just going to be, who's better off? Scored Buffalo has been around the racing community in Forza for a lot longer. He has shown a lot more measured approach. He is very good at minimizing mistakes. He's very good at being cautious with his moves. Claiming Racer's a little bit closer to being a bull in the china shop. He doesn't care if he ends up hitting you and runs you briefly off track or anything like that. He is going for the position. He is going for the moves. Scored Buffalo a little bit calmer, might have the advantage if he was in front, but if he is behind and he is insisting on only making moves in areas where the driver ahead is blatantly off circuit or normal overtaking zones, Claiming just has to act aggressive enough, and this number 31 driver may not be able or willing to commit to a big move that would put him ahead. Remember also, neither of these drivers are fighting for a championship. I think this is only Claiming's 3rd start in the season, and this is only Scored's 3rd start in the season as well. But Claiming is fighting a little bit for the manufacturer championship. Dodge is 2nd in manufacturer points, and Buick is 3rd, and right now, Dodge runs 2nd on track, and Buick runs 3rd and 4th on track at the moment. So, for the moment, Claiming does have something to fight for, but I don't think it's in a position where it completely dominates his thoughts. Alright, Scored has closed the gap down to a little bit less than 3/4 of a second here, but now he's gotten within half a second. All of a sudden, the gap is starting to collapse. What's going on to cause this? No damage, so whatever's happened, Scored has now started running Claiming Racer down. And they are coming up on traffic once more, and that would be, we believe, Thomas 086R ahead of them. Again, talking about Jack Broseph, who is on a 2-stop strategy. He has yet to make his second stop, and when he does, I think that Jack might fall all the way back to the 9th position. It has just been an awful time for him thus far. Another fight going on here for 6th position. NFL Racer has gotten by Roken GTR. So Roken, good in qualifying, but his race pace seems to be a little bit unsteady. This is his second run in this series, and in both events, he seems to lose positions in races. He's fast, he can fight, but he seems to make just enough mistakes that cost him more than what he can do with his sheer pace. Big slide by right there really kind of shows it. Oh, and that was the move for the lead. Claiming went off, was held up by traffic. I didn't think it would happen. I apologize for missing that, but Buffalo's gotten by Claiming Racer. So Buffalo goes into the lead. So Buffalo is only his 3rd start, and he is now set to win all 3 starts he has made in this series. And Claiming Racer, who I said is a little bit more mistake-prone, makes a little bit more errors, seems like that's exactly what's happened. Buffalo got Claiming Racer on a dive. Oh, and Buffalo's into the dirt! A very unusual mistake by Buffalo, and now Claiming goes right back by. Maybe it's not completely over yet. Buffalo may have gotten a little bit too complacent, and Claiming is back by. But the big thing is, though, is that Buffalo is now in Claiming's head. Buffalo should have the discipline to say, hey, look, I know what to do. I know how to make this happen. I've gotten by him once. I can do it again. Claiming now has Buffalo in his head and says, crap, he's gotten by me once. And Claiming's already into the dirt. And Buffalo goes right by. So in a span of about a lap, the lead changes between this duo. And Buffalo's back ahead. The lead changed twice between them. And now it's Buffalo ahead again. All right, so now it's Buffalo back ahead of Claiming. Clean track ahead for a while. It'll take a while. And Roken GTR has actually gone off circuit, has fallen all the way back to 9th. So that moves NFL up into 6th spot now. Well, with the way this is going, if you factor in that Jack Broseph still has yet to make one more stop, the top 3 of our top 5 finishers are going to be drivers who did not qualify at all. It seems like qualifying just does not matter in this championship. You can miss qualifying, but if you're fast enough, you'll just be able to blitz by everybody before the race even comes close to being done. Claiming is right there behind scored Buffalo. Roken holds the inside line, and I imagine they're going to be very frustrated with Roken. That brings Claiming right up behind scored Buffalo. Does he make a dive into the hairpin? No, he does not. Scored Buffalo defends it nice and smooth. Buffalo has a little bit of a tight exit, but Claiming is even tighter. Claiming needs to open up the wheel a little bit more coming out of the hairpin if he wants to get a good run down the straight on Buffalo. He's close enough to get a draft, but he loses so much time getting onto the throttle that the draft is not putting him close enough that he can make a move into turn number 4. Again, in this series, traction control is turned off. Big twitch by Buffalo over the curbs. He hits the curb. Something nasty again, but he's opening the gap just a bit. He's into the dirt. But Claiming was into the dirt behind him as well. Both drivers dropped tires into the dirt, and it was Claiming who was worse off. And Kurlshine has come almost to a complete stop on track there. What is going on? What is with Kurlshine? That car is destroyed, but he has not come into the pits. He has gone around 2 times, but has not gone into the pits. Is he trying to force a yellow flag or something? I don't know, but he has not come into the pits, and he has been running around a damaged car for multiple laps. And now Niesmorph is running slow. Did he just move over for the leaders? Yeah, he just moved over for the leaders. Roken into the pits, likely to repair damage to his car. Real quickly, I want to check Jack Broseph. When is he going to make his second stop? He might not be on a 2-stop strategy. He might be on a 1-stop and may have thrown on medium tires or hard tires. Huh. Because he made his stop at around lap 15. Let me verify. Yeah, he's not... I don't think he's doing a multi-stop strategy. He might only be doing a soft to medium run. He would be the only driver to do so. I think everyone else is running soft because these races are so short. All right, so scored Buffalo holds station over Claiming Racer still. Claiming has not let Buffalo get away yet, but you've got to figure out a way by. Buffalo wide in the hairpin. He is really wide in the hairpin. He's sideways, putting the power down. Claiming's got to run, but Buffalo got the power back down. He's got power. He's got going. Claiming's in his draft, but not close enough to make a dive. Not this time. Buffalo's being a lot more aggressive, attacking the curbs. Claiming's being a little bit more restrained right now, which is kind of the opposite of what we saw earlier when it was Claiming in the lead. He was the driver really attacking and bouncing his tire in the underfloor off the curbs. Now it's Buffalo who's really doing that. But it's working for Buffalo. He is opening the gap. It's only by a few hundredths per lap, but on average, he is opening the gap between himself and Claiming Racer. The big thing that Claiming has in his favor is that he has been better on tire management. Although he pitted earlier than Buffalo, he has been significantly better than Buffalo on tire management. So maybe this race will come back in his favor. We don't know. Prius has fallen completely out of the lead fight, way back in third. Dino is way back in fourth, even more out, and Dino's championship hopes are over. Maybe racing, all he has to do is just show up for the remaining 4 races, and with the pace that he has, he's likely going to take home top 4s for the rest of the season. So as long as Maybe Racing shows up for the remainder of the season, he's basically locked up the Drivers' Championship by virtue of Dino not being able to capitalize at all. Claiming incredibly wide there in turn 4, and bled off 0.3 of a second there alone. Seems like this fight might be all but over now. Kuroshine comes to a near stop. He's finally repaired the damage, but he is 5 laps down at this stage of the event. Next driver who will be going a lap down would be Amish Gaming, but that's still a long ways away from happening right now. Right on board with Claiming Racer for a full lap. Let's see what a flying lap looks like at Mid-Ohio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio. We are in the closing stages of our event here. Buffalo leads, Claiming Racer is in second, but neither of them can really seem to get away from each other. And the big thing, I hit the wrong thing. The big thing to consider, tires. Buffalo is at 28.9% tire life right now. Claiming Racer is at 28.3%. So Claiming has already recovered his tire advantage over Buffalo and can now continue to push it as this goes on. Also, it looks to me like Scored Buffalo is best in Sector 1. going down the front straightaway, and then the run down to the hairpin, and then the front stretch. But then Claiming Racer closes most of his time back in the twisties of Sector 2 and 3. So, big problem for Claiming, though, is that it's great you're able to close in those corners, but you can't make overtakes there unless the driver ahead makes a giant mistake. Now, Claiming's been very aggressive. He's willing to throw his car up alongside in corners that you can't go side by side in here. But Buffalo is disciplined enough, he might let Claiming do something like that, and then just simply, by virtue of having a better line, just pull back ahead. I feel like Buffalo has the advantage, but it is a gradually dwindling advantage. Also, Naito Gamer is 63 seconds off the lead. He will be the next driver at risk of going a lap down. But before that, they'll have to deal with Roken GTR, who's not too far ahead of them at the moment. Depending on where they catch Roken GTR could have a big impact on how this fight plays out. It may be lap traffic instead of driver ability that really decides how this goes, and Claiming drops tires into the dirt there, and that's going to open the gap more in Scored Buffalo's favor. Not by much, though. And there's Roken, already a lap down. Big slide by Buffalo, putting the power down onto the start-finish straight. Gap's at 4/10 here. Traditionally, you can't pass at Mid-Ohio unless the driver ahead makes a mistake, and we've seen Claiming and Buffalo, between the two of them, make a series of mistakes all in a row, and Naito is off track, has now gone a lap down. Something has gone wrong. Is this car damaged? No damage, but he went off right ahead of this duo, so he will not impact them. And now, only 7 of our 13 stars are still in the lead lap, and Amish Gaming is at risk of going a lap down sooner rather than later as well. So Jack Broseph might still pull out a top 5 finish out of this run here by just throwing on soft to mediums. So he had not, we thought he was going to commit to a 2-stop. He is not. He committed to a soft to medium strategy today. But on that strategy, he is on older, harder tires, and already those tires are showing some significant wear, and his fuel is burning up. Jack might be a little bit tight when it comes to his fuel numbers right now, but he is 8 seconds ahead of NFL Racer. He has plenty of time to bleed off to try and salvage a top 5 result here. Okay, leaders are coming up into traffic once more. Are they going to fight against them at all? Roken holds the outside. Crowshine on the inside. Crowshine is going to be a big pain in the car for Claiming. That's going to decide it. Claiming is going to be compromised massively by Crowshine. This is the second time we've seen this happen where Crowshine has impacted the fight for his lead. And now this is over. Unless Scored Buffalo has no chance of getting around Roken, I think that fight's over. Roken is not going to put any fight against Buffalo. Claiming gets the gap back down to about half a second. A little less than half a second. Okay, so maybe it's not over. Maybe Buffalo was a little bit more compromised by Roken than it looked like. Buffalo and Claiming both dropped tires into the dirt. Does Claiming go for a big bonsai move? Can he get enough of a run to get a big bonsai move set up here? He needs to be right on top of Buffalo in order to make and ship a big... Oh, Buffalo missed turn 1 there. Did not have a good run. Here comes Claiming Racer. He's right behind. Buffalo defends the inside. Claiming says, "I'll go to the outside." Side by side. Coming down to the hairpin here. Claiming trying to pinch Buffalo down, but Buffalo is just so much smoother being on the throttle. He's ahead. But Claiming's, yes, close enough. He may be able to get enough of a draft. Does he try and make a big dive to the inside? Buffalo defending the inside line. Here comes Claiming. Looks to the inside. Is not going to commit to it, though. Buffalo high centers the outside tires over the curb, compromises his line a bit. But here in these corners, you can't make a move. You can be side by side, stay side by side, but you can't make a move in turn 5 or 6 because the track is too slow and too narrow through there. So you can go as slow as you want, Buffalo, and Claiming won't get around you there. It's the other corners. Buffalo really throwing the rear of the car out there, and Claiming was a little bit closer. So the fight is on. We know that Buffalo has tires that he is earning through faster than Claiming. Oh, big slide by Buffalo, but Claiming backed off a little too much so as not to hit Buffalo. Closes in, going through turn 1. He's got a draft. He's got a run. Buffalo is not defending the inside this time. Is this the move? Is this where Claiming makes it? No. Buffalo moved over right before Claiming could set up. I think Buffalo was just way better than Claiming as a overall driver when it comes to being defensive. He is a lot more calm and a lot more relaxed. And a calm, relaxed driver will be a better defensive driver. And defense in racing, defense is almost always better than offense. Claiming I would always want to have on my team if he has to go out and attack for a position. Oh, scored into the dirt just a little bit. It's going to compromise his line. Claiming's within a quarter of a second. Buffalo sideways again over the corner, but he is not going off enough for Claiming to try and get alongside. Claiming is a guy who is much, much more aggressive, much, much more offensive based. Buffalo is a much better defensive driver. We see all the time Buffalo is wide. He's sideways. He's gotten to the dirt. Big sideways moment. Here comes Claiming. Does he make a move? No. Claiming does not want to make the move in turn 1. Not this time. Buffalo's now starting to make mistakes. Claiming's shaping up for a move. Buffalo again defends the same way he has the last few times. We're only with 3 laps to go. If Claiming wants to make a move, he has to make it now. Gap is up to almost 30 seconds over 3rd place. Jack Broseph still 3 seconds ahead of NFL Racer. But this is the main focus. Scored Buffalo has won every single start he has had thus far in the season, which has only been 2. This is his 3rd. He is trying to make it 3 for 3 in this championship. Bit of a slide, bit of a twitch. Buffalo a lot more calm this lap, but they are coming up on traffic. That is Amish Gaming ahead of them. As they come across the start-finish line, there'll be 2 laps left in the event. This has been another race that has gone green, flag to flag. And while Scored Buffalo has a tire disadvantage, track position is everything here. He's only at 43%, so he's not at a massive tire disadvantage. Although he's a little wide coming out of the hairpin, Claiming's only at 41, so the tire difference is not massively in Claiming's favor. It's there, but it's not massive, and Scored is not going to be into the bad tire fall-off phase. So I think this race is all but over as long as Amish Gaming does not end up compromising Buffalo. And even if he compromises Buffalo, depending on where it happens, Claiming might be compromised by the exact same amount here on track. Oh boy. It looks to me like the leader is really being held up there by Amish. And now he goes wide, and it compromises Claiming. That's it. That's race over. So Scored Buffalo, as long as he doesn't make any big mistakes, that is the end of the race. The last chance that Claiming had is over. He is not close enough to make a run on Scored Buffalo. Buffalo knocks the cones, but he is so far ahead, it just doesn't matter. Slides into the hairpin, but Claiming Racer goes too deep into the hairpin, and the gap only opens. So, Scored Buffalo continues to completely derail this championship by continuing to insist on not qualifying, not practicing at all, but showing up and going from last to first in basically 60% of the race length and walking off with it. I will give full credit to Claiming Racer, though, being able to do almost the exact same thing that Scored Buffalo did, but just being a little bit more aggressive in turn means that you will make more mistakes, and it was a mistake, or actually a pair of mistakes. When Buffalo only made 1 mistake, Scored made 2. When Scored made 1 mistake, Claiming made 2 mistakes, and that is what took Claiming Racer out of the race win. So Scored Buffalo will go back-to-back, win 3 times in 3 starts, will win 3 of the 6 races in the championship, brings it home, and it's a very obvious win, with Claiming coming home second. Dino is going to come home in 3rd position. He somehow got by Prius Killer. I missed however that happened. But for his championship hopes, he's only going to bring home 36 points, and he had a 49-point deficit on maybe racing, maybe being so much faster than Dino throughout the entire season. I think we can say with confidence that this championship fight is over, and Dino will have to just settle for a podium now and might only be able to fight for 2nd in overall driver's points. Prius Killer, Dino's teammate, will come home 4th, so this will at least be a respectable day for the the Buick manufacturer entry in this series. And Jack Brosov, on a wildly alternate strategy, has lost the position. He's out of fuel. At the very end, Jack Brosov is out of fuel. An NFL racer finally will take home a result off of the back of someone else's bad fortune. And NFL takes 5th position. And that was a very dramatic finish there. NFL 5th, and Jack Brosov will be in 6th. And that will wrap up the race here. We're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break, and when we come back, we'll try and get some interviews done with our top finishers. All right, I hope the interviews went out. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. In the party, are you guys able to include your audio?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'll start interviews in just a little bit here.
Did you get track running out of fuel at the end?
I caught it just as you got by him. I figured that he might run out of fuel, but I had been focused on the lead fight for most of the day, so...
It wasn't me once.
I said something almost the exact same. I was like, finally, NFL's not the one screwed over by one of these crazy strategies. Let me see here. Amish, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
All right, yeah. Go ahead and include your audio when you can. I don't know if Scored Buffalo is going to jump into the party or not.
I'll invite him in.
But I will go ahead. I'll start interviews with NFL and then work the way up the grid here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Our race is done, and your race winner here is Scored Buffalo. Oh my goodness, this cameraman is so drunk. Your race winner is Scored Buffalo. Buffalo, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, not Buffalo. NFL, I want you to include your audio because you started way at the very back of the field and still came home to a top 5 finish. NFL, what do you have to say about your run out there today?
Holy crap. Was today a day of attrition. Initially was going to be perfectly fine to make today and everything, and then my dryer broke as I was doing laundry, as I'm getting ready to go back out on the road tonight for my job. So I had to go over to a family member's house on the other side of town to do my laundry, and I got home just as driver's meeting was finishing. So after that, it was just Mid-Ohio doing the slog to get to the front, and honestly, I didn't go with my greatest drive, but a bit of luck and taking advantage of opportunities where they came, and track running out of fuel at the second to last corner helped me get that. So I will definitely and gladly take a top 5.
All right, and it was a fantastic drive for a top 5. That will be 1st and 5th for the Dodge entries as well. So fantastic drive. 4 more races left in the season. What do you think your chances are at stealing some more podiums or maybe even a win?
You know, I don't know. I'd like to hope that maybe I can show up for Eagle Rock. Don't really have the greatest pass with that track, but you know, it's short track racing. You never know what's going to happen. So I'd like to think my odds are okay, but we'll see.
All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, NFL. It's nice to finally have one of these crazy strategy miscues actually fall in your favor once instead of derail your run.
Yeah, I know. It really is. It's just fingers crossed that stays with me.
All right, now I want to talk with our fourth place finisher, Prius Killer. Prius, you started third, moved your way up to second, and then the lead very early on, but just didn't have the pace and fell to a distant fourth at the end. Go ahead and include your audio. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Fucking wrecked myself with like 4 to go, hit that grass and whatever corner that's called, that like double right-hander thing. Barely clipped it though, and spun and lost 14 seconds to Dino, ended up dropping behind there at the end. I did not have pace to keep up with those two. I'm glad I kept ahead of them for as long as I did. I think I was 10, 15 laps defending and claiming in Buffalo there, so that was at least fun. I didn't expect to do that well. I hate twisty tracks, so the fact that I was at least up there was fun to have, but yeah, just didn't have pace and then wrecked myself at the end.
All right, we still have several more races, a mix of ovals and road courses left. You've shown great pace on both kinds of tracks. Do you think you can steal any more podiums or wins on the rest of the season?
Well, Watkins Glen will be interesting, because if Scored and Claiming are there, they'll probably take 1-2, so it'll probably be me, maybe, and Dino fighting for third on Watkins. That's the only track I expect to do for the road courses, because Lagoon I'm not the best at. I can still do well there, but that's sort of a 50-50 on me. And the last time I was there,
well, at least I
out.
won't be on track for you to wreck at Watkins, so that should make things a little easier for you.
Yeah, and I lagged out at Laguna the last time I was there. Watkins seems to hate me if I'm ever leading, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully I don't get screwed by pit strategy at Homestead, and Eagle Rock I've never run, so the whole season's a mix-up here.
Yep. All right, well, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Prius. It was a decent run, but could have been better, obviously. And now I want to talk with our second place finisher, Claiming Racer. Claiming never got interviews either. That's frustrating. I know I sent interviews out. I'm guessing they didn't get them. I'm going to try and send them one more time. All right. Real quick, I want to go ahead and talk with Scored Buffalo here. Scored, you were the race winner once again for the second race in a row. You didn't practice, you didn't qualify, you didn't even attend driver's meeting. You start at the back of the grid and go from last to first pretty much to walk off with a win. How in the world do you keep doing this? What's your secret sauce?
I just drive.
Do 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 do.
But
all right, well,
this one was really close. I'll tell you that much, because I didn't know what the strategy was here. So I started the race on 100% fuel. I imagined that tires were gonna be the first to go here, because this is the usual with the Mid Ohio. So I went as far as I can with that, and then when I pit, there was the closest option to the amount of laps left, and it was like 21 laps. And if I had pitted a lap earlier and I chose that option, I probably wouldn't have finished the race, because I ran out of fuel actually on the exit of the last corner.
you ran out of fuel at the... Oh, my goodness. I mean, at least you made it, but oh, goodness. That we did not notice that. We were focused on tires. We didn't think fuel was going to be an issue for you.
Well, I was contemplating whether to put more fuel in just to be safe, but I was just like, I might as well see if I could get a little bit more pace out of it, just in case if I needed it.
All right, there we are. Now Clayton's in. All right, there are still 2 more road courses. We know that you don't like ovals, which is a horrible choice, but whatever. I can't control your mind. But we know there are 2 more road courses. Are you going to try and steal easy wins at those 2 events as well?
Yeah, as long as I don't have anything going on those days, so I'll be there.
All right, so we're looking at Scored Buffalo maybe going 5 for 5 for starts and wins in this series. All right, we'll keep an eye on that then. It will be scary. I will say this, if you actually ever qualify for any of these races, it would be terrifying to see you maybe put the entire field lap down. But anyways, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Buffalo. Another decisive, destructive run out there. Now I want to talk with our second place finisher, Claiming Racer. Claiming, go ahead, include your audio. I assume you can hear me, right, Claiming?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, claiming include your audio. A great run, basically from last to first. You did that technically faster than Buffalo did, but a few mistakes more, and you end up coming home second. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Yeah, I was just dealing with, the game got updated wheel settings a while back, and I'm still don't have the settings down right, so it doesn't feel good at all. So just trying to drive around that. And yeah, the 2 times I went off and won. The first time, I guess I might have been in a weird spot with that car in front of me and just had no front grip at all. The thing just plowed off the track. And the second time around, I don't know what happened, but yeah, it was just trying to deal with the lack of feeling that I had with the wheel, and just trying to hang on. This is a lot of car for this track, and yeah, it was fun to race against Gordon.
All right, there are still 4 more races left in the season, and you have a very good track record of bringing home great finishes. Are we going to see you for any of the remaining races in this championship?
The only other one I'm home for is Watkins Glen. So I'm pretty much out, just for running for team points, pretty much.
All right, well, for running for team points, you still came home second, so you at least keep up bringing home your team and the Ford manufacturer entry overall some good points. So great job there, mate. And again, it was a really, really fun time watching you fight through the field. It was very obvious just by virtue of that you showed up that you would go to the front, but it was fun to watch you and Sword go up to the front of the field at least.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's just.
No, go on.
I think the biggest problem that this track is, with how much, the high speed you need the aero, and then the low speed is too tight to pass. It's just so difficult to actually make a pass. I was stuck behind Prius Killer for 15 laps. Just I couldn't get a run or anything. It took a mistake to get there. So yeah, even if I got back close enough to score, I don't think I would have been able to get around them. So it was a good race.
All right. Great job out there. We do look forward to seeing you at least one more time this season. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Mate, it was pretty fun. I want to talk with one more driver, someone who's a little bit off the beaten path. I do want to talk to Amish Gaming. Amish, interesting time. Not a great finish, but you are still showing up for races. As the season's gone on, I think you're one of 3 drivers who has actually shown up to every race in this season. You're in the middle of a fight, really, for second in driver's points. With 4 races left, do you think you have a shot to steal second in the driver's points from the likes of Prius or Dino or anyone else who is around you in that fight?
I think with 2 ovals and Watkins, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, Dino's going to be a tough one to beat him. Like he finished on the podium today. He's had me beaten pretty much every other race where, he'll finish 3rd and I finish 4th, or he finishes 5th and I finish 6th. So it'll be tough getting past him, but I don't know. Finishing top 5 in the points was my goal for this, so as long as I can just keep it together for the rest of the season and keep showing up, I think we're set.
All right, well, it wasn't a great result for you, but it was still very valuable points overall today. I just really wanted to ask that more than anything else, because that, with the Drivers' Championship mostly locked up, it does seem like that fight for second in the Drivers' Championship is going to be the real one to watch here. I do want to say thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Shame your race could go a little bit better, but that's kind of the way things go. With that in mind, that'll pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from Mid-Ohio. Join us in a week's time for the 7th race of the season, which, if my memory serves correctly, will be at the Eagle Rock Oval. And that could be really interesting because we've not seen how these Indy cars will handle on that not quite flat 1 mile oval. But until next time, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us. Farewell and goodbye, everyone. All right, I have to confess something. I did screw up on invites. I checked, and I invited Amish thinking it was claiming again. I have confused you two every single race this season, and I am so sorry for that.